he has controlled Todd's money, dictated his every move, pushed him to the point of physical and emotional collapse, and even threatened him with a knife. But now, Theo Silverton has crossed yet another terrifying line. And this time, the people of Weatherfield are beginning to realize that no one who gets in his way is safe. Welcome back to Corrie Daily Drama, the channel where we bring you all the latest news, spoilers, and drama from the cobbles of Coronation Street. If you've been following the Todd and Theo storyline, then you already know this has been one of the most gripping and emotionally charged arcs the show has delivered in years. But what happened in Friday's early release ITVX episode has sent shockwaves through the fanbase. And today we are breaking it all down for you. Theo Silverton has issued a frightening new threat in Coronation Street as Sarah Platt attempted to help Todd Grimshaw out of his increasingly desperate plight. And the return of a familiar face, one closely connected to Theo's past, left the volatile scaffolder absolutely enraged. AOL, this is the story that Corrie fans are talking about right now. And trust us, the full picture is even more chilling than the headlines suggest. To understand just how significant this episode is, we need to go back to the very beginning of this dark and carefully crafted storyline. Theo Silverton, played by James Cartwright, arrived on Coronation Street in 2025 as a new love interest for Todd Grimshaw, portrayed by Gareth Pierce. Prolific North, what began as an exciting romantic development, quickly revealed itself to be something far more sinister. Theo's control over Todd's finances began taking a serious toll early on. After discovering that Todd had built up credit card debt, Theo cut up his bank cards and insisted that Todd could only use cash, with Theo being the one to decide how much he was given. Back to the Bay, that kind of financial stranglehold is a textbook sign of coercive control, and the show has been unflinching in depicting its impact. Theo's ex-wife Danielle is played by former Emmerdale and the royal actress Natalie Anderson, who is more recently seen in the Netflix drama Fool Me Once. ITV, when Todd and Theo began building their relationship, it was revealed that Theo had a wife named Danielle, who first appeared at the Undertaker's to arrange her mother's funeral. Wikipedia her arrival back then immediately added an extraordinary layer of complexity to the situation, because not only was Todd discovering the man he loved had been living a double life, but Danielle herself appeared to have no idea about her husband's hidden identity. Natalie Anderson had previously played the role of Alicia Metcalf on Emmerdale between 2010 and 2015 Entertainment Daily, making her a well-known face to British soap audiences, and her casting in Coronation Street was met with real excitement when it was first announced. The question was always how Danielle would ultimately fit into the unraveling of Theo's dark world. Since those early days, the storyline has only intensified. Theo's domestic abuse of Todd escalated sharply, with the storyline taking a particularly violent turn when Theo threatened Todd with a knife after his birthday celebrations went wrong. Pink News Theo lambasted Todd for embarrassing him and called him a pathetic, useless waste of space before pulling out a knife from the kitchen side. Pink News, those scenes were genuinely harrowing viewing, and they underscored just how seriously the show's production team, working alongside LGBTQ plus anti-abuse charity Gallup, has taken this storyline. Coronation Street isn't just telling a dramatic story here. It is shining a light on patterns of abuse that are often invisible and misunderstood, particularly within same-sex relationships. By the time we reach this week, several of Weatherfield's residents have become increasingly alarmed. Concern for Todd had been building steadily since George Shuttleworth inadvertently witnessed what life was really like behind closed doors when Theo, unaware George was in the flat, began shouting abuse through the bathroom door. Back to the Bay, that moment changed everything for George, and it set in motion a chain of events that has now drawn Sarah Platt, Christina Boyd, Summer Spellman, and Gary Windass all into the fight to help Todd escape. Those fears were only heightened when Theo ambushed Todd into a surprise wedding at the registry office, where only Gary and Maria were present, with none of Todd's closest friends invited. Back to the Bay, to those who knew Todd well, it was obvious this was not a man making joyful choices. This was a man trapped. Gary, to his enormous credit, eventually refused to look the other way. When Theo arrived for work, Gary handed him his tools and told him he was fired. Theo accused him of overreacting, but Gary angrily warned him to watch his back before sending him packing. Back to the Bay, it was a powerful moment, but it also made Theo even more dangerous, because a man like Theo, backed into a corner, does not back down. He escalates. And that brings us to Friday's episode, the one that has everybody talking. In the episode, Theo attempted to manipulate Gary Windass into believing his side of events, but Gary had no interest in listening. Carl Webster witnessed the conversation and gleefully reminded Theo of his knowledge of Billy Mayhew's murder. Theo continued to press Gary and made a barely veiled threat towards him, while also stating that he had never harmed his ex-wife Danielle or his children. And the mention of Danielle gave Gary an idea. AOL, that idea, contact Danielle directly. If Theo had truly been abusive in his previous relationship, then Danielle might be the key to proving the pattern of behavior, and possibly to helping Todd finally break free. Sarah was summoned to the Bistro, where she met with Danielle Silverton and quizzed her on her past marriage to Theo, hoping she could provide information about his violent nature. TV Guide, it seemed, on the surface, like a reasonable and brave move. But as Corrie fans know all too well, things on the cobbles rarely go according to plan. When Sarah asked Danielle whether Theo had ever been violent with her, Danielle took offense and said Sarah had some nerve to even ask the question. AOL, it was a gut punch of a response, and it raises immediate questions about Danielle's own complicated relationship with the truth of her marriage. Is she protecting herself? Is she in denial? Or is there something else entirely going on beneath the surface? Things took a dramatic turn when Todd arrived and spotted them together, with Theo not far behind and absolutely furious. TV Guide. After Danielle left the bistro and told Sarah not to contact her again, Theo issued his terrifying threat, telling Sarah that she would regret her continued prying. AOL read that back for a moment. Theo looked Sarah Platt square in the eye and told her she would regret it. This is not just a man trying to control his partner. This is a man making open threats to other members of the community. The danger is spreading, and the walls are beginning to close in on everyone around him. Todd apologized to Sarah afterwards, telling her that she had made things worse. Sarah then met with Gary, George, and Christina in the Rovers to discuss the situation, with the group wishing that Theo would leave Weatherfield for good. AOL, the despair in that gathering is palpable. These are people who care deeply about Todd, who can see with their own eyes what is happening, and who feel completely powerless to stop it. That sense of helplessness is something many viewers watching at home will recognize, and it is one of the reasons this storyline has resonated so deeply. But here is where things take yet another alarming twist. They may get their wish about Theo leaving, because Theo informed Todd that he had secured a job offer in Belfast. He told Todd that nothing would stop them now, but Todd appeared visibly nervous at the prospect of moving away. AOL Belfast. Away from George, away from Sarah, away from Christina and Gary, away from everyone who has been trying to keep a lifeline open for Todd. The prospect of Theo isolating Todd completely in a new city with no support network is genuinely frightening. And that forced smile Todd wore as Theo delivered the news, that spoke volumes. Meanwhile, Summer Spellman has been attempting to uncover the truth about the death of Billy Mayhew, which was caused by Theo. She has been keeping a close eye on him, carefully gathering information while remaining cautious about how she proceeds. AOL, the fact that Summer is now circling closer to the truth about Billy's death could prove to be the most explosive development yet. Upcoming reports suggest that Todd and Summer will together rumble Killer Theo, leading to a major showdown. News now, if those reports are accurate, then the net is finally beginning to tighten around Theo Silverton, and it cannot come a moment too soon. Fan reaction to this week's episodes has been intense. Across social media, viewers have been expressing everything from rage to heartbreak, with many praising the show for the sensitivity and realism with which it has handled the coercive control elements. The performances of Gareth Pierce as Todd and James Cartwright as Theo have been consistently singled out for particular praise, with many calling this one of the strongest dramatic pairings the show has had in recent years. The addition of Natalie Anderson as Danielle has added yet another dimension, because her character's refusal to cooperate is not just frustrating to watch, it is also deeply realistic. Victims and those connected to abusers do not always behave in the ways we hope or expect. Looking ahead, the big question now is whether Todd will find the courage or be given the opportunity to escape before Theo drags him across to Belfast and removes him from Weatherfield entirely. The Belfast job is Theo's ultimate controlling move, a fresh start that is really just a fresh trap. And with Theo now openly threatening people like Gary and Sarah, the situation on the street is reaching a critical and dangerous tipping point. Something has to give, and when it does, it is going to be television worth watching. The show's collaboration with Gallup, the LGBTQ+ anti-abuse charity, means this storyline carries real weight and genuine purpose. It is not just drama for drama's sake. It is a story being told to help people. Perhaps people watching at home who recognize pieces of their own lives in what Todd is going through. That is Coronation Street at its very best. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about Theo's frightening new threat, Danielle's shocking return, and what it all means for Todd's increasingly desperate situation. The Belfast clock is ticking. Summer is closing in on the truth, and Theo has made it very clear that he will not go quietly. These are the kind of episodes that remind us exactly why Coronation Street has been the nation's favorite soap for over 60 years. If you have thoughts on where this storyline is heading, whether you think Todd will make it out, whether Danielle knows more than she is letting on, or whether Summer is about to blow the whole thing wide open, we want to hear from you. Drop your predictions and reactions in the comments section below, because this community always has the best takes. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. It really does help us keep bringing you this content every day. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a single update from Corrie Daily Drama. We'll see you in the next one.